The social contract describes a broad class of theories that try to explain the ways in which people form states and maintain social order. This notion implies that the people give up some rights to a government or other authority in order to receive or maintain social order. It is from this starting point that formed the theoretical groundwork of democracy. Ideally, when people agree to give up part of their freedom to a government in exchange for protection of natural rights, it is the government's duty to ensure that justice is dispensed without favor or delay across all its demographics. Justice delayed is justice denied. This is a phrase that is too common among the Kenyan population that the citizenry are used to it becoming a part of their lives. The Kenyan justice system is clogged with cases, the point that getting a hearing on time is a boon for a few who have the money and connection to tweak it to their advantage. This is further compounded by the fact that the courts are understaffed and Parliament is either unable or slow in formulating laws or amendments that should vent out some of these cases. This is a crisis that is spiraling towards meltdown proportions, and the justice seekers are left but to wonder who will come to their aid.
You would notice that officers who have turned out to torture people would want to quote a provision in the Prisons Act that allows them to do that. And that's why I was calling it a cake, because even though this person has been educated in human rights, they are running to a provision in law that is still a cake to justify what they've done.
Police are still topping the list of leading perpetrators of torture in the country's penal institutions. A report released by Legal Resource Foundation says the practice is most rampant in police stations, remand cells and chief camps.
Enter the Legal Resources Foundation Trust, an independent Kenyan-based human rights organization. The foundation, fondly referred to it by its acronym LRF, was established to promote access to justice through human rights education, research, and policy advocacy initiatives. It began its operations in October 1993 under the name Rights Awareness Program, RAP, and in 1994 it changed its name to Legal Resources Foundation, LRF. In August 2000, LRF was registered as a trust. LRF's mission is to be a resource for justice for the poor, marginalized, and vulnerable through participatory interventions and mutual partnerships. Guided by its motto, Haki Itawale, LRF envisages a Kenya which is just and equitable, where everyone, including the poor and marginalized, are able to access justice and full realization of their rights.
We have Kenyans who are illiterate, they are poor. Poverty has caused them not to be able to afford legal representation, and illiteracy also means that they are not able to engage the court effectively due to lack of information or ignorance.
This is aimed at promoting human rights awareness and rule of law in Kenya. LRF is a brand name that is respected for its effectiveness and efficiency in program delivery and sensitivity to the excluded. LRF is founded on a history of social inclusion, sound institutional systems, procedures, and structures. LRF is managed through a board of trustees headed by the chair and the secretariat, which runs the day-to-day affairs.
We have diverse members bringing on board different skills, different knowledge, different experiences and different outlooks, and I think most importantly all of them are keen and very, very keen to expand the democratic space in this country.
I chair the Finance and Audit Committee on the board, and I help the board generally on financial issues in terms of consultations and advice wherever necessary.
LRF focuses on 5 thematic areas in its programming, popularly known as ARISE. The strategic objectives are to undertake programmatic interventions through advocacy, networking, and partnerships in the administration of justice. To conduct and improve organizational programming on action research on topical access to justice issues. To advocate, create awareness, and mobilize various communities on their civic rights and responsibilities. To develop a sustainable institution for training on access to justice through advocacy and referral, and to develop the capacity of staff and the board to deliver services and monitor program implementation. These strategic objectives are implemented through 5 thematic areas: research and development, governance, administration of justice, advocacy and outreach, and institutional development.
We carry out research, evidence-based research, research that is aimed at first to inform the interventions that we undertake as an institution. Also, the research we carry out sometimes are meant to provoke the debates around the society.
Before research was being outsourced, we used to outsource for people to come and do the data collection, the data processing, and even to research, to design the researches. But currently we are doing it in-house. We have built our capacity. We have personnel who are now competent to undertake research, to undertake data collection, and even to do the reports.
This program aims to boost and inform all the programmatic interventions and key policy advocacy issues. This program is also the flagship in strengthening the information management and continuous learning to improve on information sharing and documentation. To ensure a wider reach and penetration, LRF has trained many paralegal officers based in both the community and prisons. The prison's paralegal conduct regular training campaigns in the remand homes, prisons, and police stations by educating the suspects and convicts about their basic legal rights and on how to self-represent themselves.
And the Administration of Justice program, which has 2 projects, that is the Penal Reform Project and the Judicial Participation Project. Basically, we target remand prisoners because we find they are poor. Most of them are not able to hire advocates, and so they have to be empowered so that they are able to engage the justice system. What we're trying to do is to promote effectiveness in coordination among the stakeholders in the justice system, and also enhancing the dispensation of justice for poor litigants.
Well, to tell us more about this issue, we have Jedida Wakonyo, who works with the Legal Resources Foundation. Welcome, Jedida, and do tell us a bit more about what it is that your NGO does in relation to the prisons issue.
Legal Resources Foundation is a human rights organization having a program on human rights education in the prisons, where we have paralegal officers working in the prison on a daily basis with the remanded, teaching them how to engage with the justice system so that they may be able to self-represent themselves and also to gain confidence while engaging with the justice system.
Okay, so you actually go into the prisons every day?
Yes, you'll have a paralegal from 8 to 5 in, for example, Nairobi Industrial Area Remand Prison, working with the remanded who are not yet convicted to help them understand the trial process in terms of how do they manage their case in court, because they cannot afford a lawyer, neither can they afford bail.
This program also encourages the formation of access to justice committees, popularly known as court users committees, to enable all the administration of justice actors like the police, judiciary, probation officers, and prisons communicate, coordinate, and complement each other in facilitating access to justice.
We have stakeholders in the criminal justice system who are not talking to each other, and yet they serve the same client, that is the people who are undergoing the trial process. They are not able to discuss issues and find a practical solution among themselves. So that's a big challenge, and especially to the remand prisoner who is undergoing the process.
When you come to the inmates, most of them, particularly women, are illiterate. So that is something that we have to deal with on a daily basis. and it has called on us to be very strategic in the kind of paralegals that we have in female prisons. When you think about the prisons themselves, working with them daily so that they appreciate the whole element of human rights and therefore ensure that relationship is enhanced so that the work of paralegals is seen not to be a hindrance in the whole aspect of prison administration, but it actually should be there to complement the kind of work that is done with an emphasis on human rights as the utmost aspect that we look out for.
And now we are even expanding the community because we realize that the trial process is not always about the litigant. There's that person who's been whose rights have been violated. So we are extending our services from the community, from the prison community to the community outside there, so that we can have a just system.
The paralegal officers are given specialized legal knowledge and skills to enable them to effectively give first-line legal aid and assistance to the poor and marginalized communities in all the provinces of Kenya.
As a Legal Resources Foundation, very, very proud. One, in that we have been leading in the development of what we call paralegalism, to try and educate, inform and empower people at the grassroots to be able to claim justice for themselves. We have what we call the Paralegal Support Network. We're trying to demystify the application of law. We are trying to make law accessible to the people out there.
Our work is basically to promote governance-related issues in the community. We are trying to build the capacity of community individuals. In our case, it's people we call paralegals, people who have basic knowledge on law and how to mobilize community structures. So our work is to try and empower these people to address social issues such as access to justice and other social injustices.
LRF has really been a pioneer in promoting the whole notion of paralegalism in this country and working towards establishing the standards of paralegal training in this country. We've been able to nurture really the growth and the development of Paralegal Support Network PASUNE, which is hosted at LRF, when civil society organizations decided to engage much more systematically with the government under the Governance, Justice, Law and Order Sector Program, that's a GJ laws. LRF again was instrumental as an institution to be one of the core key partners to assist civil society to engage in that process.
PASUNE is Paralegal Support Network, which is a network that is for like-minded organizations that conduct paralegal training, that have a purpose of forming a network to come up with a policy and a memorandum of understanding on harmonization and recognition of paralegals.
From independence, the government have not come up with a way of educating people on legal issues. So what we have done is that the program is there to empower people on legal matters so that these people can be able to fight for their rights.
Some of the paralegal officers had this to say.
We volunteer so much, time, money, even yourself.
Between the community and the law, I make them understand, first of all, what are their rights and what are the chances. For example, if somebody wants to present a case to the court, what are the chances to have the light. Then we also help them draft basic legal documents in the communities.
We give service free of charge. We don't charge anything. We just help the community, and that's our main role for the community.
And as far as the law is concerned, there are reforms in the law sector. So unless you are updated, you might find yourself operating on yesterday's thought, yet we are living today. that is what actually LRF is doing, to update the paralegals.
It is LRF's vision that in the near future, a Haki training institute that will focus on the paralegal training will be built. Through this institute, LRF will be sustainable.
Basically, outreach and advocacy is an integrated program. Yeah, it combines, activities related to like training paralegals and also advocacy issues, and also develop materials. And the materials that we produce usually supplement, the paralegal training that usually we replicate countrywide and regionally.
On the other hand, the advocacy component is charged in developing advocacy strategies with a specific focus on constitutional reforms, judicial reforms, and transitional justice in Kenya.
We have had a very successful program we call paralegalism, and out of this program we have developed a training for other people and consultancy in this particular area, because we have the expertise now in that particular area. So currently LRF has been using that particular area as a fundraiser also, besides it being a program area, in the sense that it is able to train paralegals for other organizations who have shown interest, because people have come to realize that the program is very useful and they want to be trained in it.
The advocacy issues are key in bringing about transformative administration of justice and equity in Kenya.
As one of the key components is to even develop further our research component, to try and prove through scholarly research in collaboration with institutions of higher learning in this country of thematic issues that impact negatively on access to justice.
The Institutional Development Program works towards developing efficient human resources capacity, competencies, and ensuring sustainability of the institution.
I'm very confident with the staff. Staff development is very important to ensure that you have the requisite staff capacity to deal with the various issues. Most of the staff members are really committed to what they do, and they're really committed to making a difference in this society. So that is a plus in itself, because then they apply that passion towards the course of the work that we do. And we've made it our core business as staff to continuously consult with each other and also to consult with the community at almost every point of our engagement.
As part of its institutional capacity building strategy, LRF is planning to establish a TV station dubbed LR24, all legal, all the time.
And we came up now with the concept of L24. And for us, it's L24, all legal, all the time. And the concept behind this TV channel is to have basic legal and also complex legal advice through the media, something that the media fraternity has not been able to adopt. And this channel will have certain programs. For example, despite the news, then the whole other concept is having lawyers, pro bono lawyers coming in, and they'll be having live shows whereby, let's say, an issue of land will be discussed by the experts. Then where you have the lawyer, you'd also have the land registrar there, the surveyor there, and also the common mwananchi as members of the plenary of the public coming in to ask those questions. What do I do if I have these land disputes?
This focus will ensure that LRF as an institution is stable, sustainable, and to serve all, especially the poor, vulnerable, and marginalized. Though a lot of success has been registered in running these programs, several challenges abound.
There are various gaps in terms of programs, especially when it comes to research and development. We have serious gaps, and governance program. So we need to do more fundraising to source for more funds. And we are also trying to set up a Haki Institute that will definitely be generating external income. Other than donor income, we'll have other sources of income from the external program. Most donors are willing to fund the programs, but they're not very willing to fund the administration function, which is very vital in program work. So financial resources has been a major point of disconnect between programs and the logistical support they need.
You know, our strategic plan is a 5-year plan, but you find many donors are doing short-term funding for this. Probably it's because it's project funding. It will be between 6 months to 1 year rather than 5 years. Yeah.
Paralegals are still taking time to understand that everything that they do should be voluntary and it's part of their community work.
We don't have like a donor who like is currently funding for advocacy issues. So if maybe we can like also fundraise for some of these activities, yeah, I think maybe we can do much better.
So far, at least for whatever we have planned for in terms of our programs, we have generally managed to raise enough funds for the year, on a year-to-year basis, as one may put it. But obviously, we can do much more.
The demand of the training is so big that we can't afford, because also we have limited resources.
Limited resources such as constrained finances and technical support. Few vehicles available to accomplish its community programs. High cost of producing training materials for the paralegal staff and outreach programs. Gaps in the legal framework in Kenya. Inefficient and corrupt legal governance and administrative systems and processes in Kenya. The population is ignorant of its legal rights and obligations and, working through volunteers, thus challenge in long-term sustainability. LRF tries its best to overcome these challenges through the efficient usage of the available funds and the hard work of the dedicated staff. Running the programs comes with numerous challenges. Despite the challenges, LRF has registered several successes. Many success stories abound. This lady got a job as an assistant chief due to the training and skills she acquired as a LRF paralegal officer.
Post of an assistant chief in my area was announced vacant. So right away, I applied for the job. I had to wait. Now the challenge was I did not have a certificate. By then we had not graduated. So I went to the offices, LRF, I consulted Angela, then they gave me a letter, just a supporting letter. That was enough.
Mradi wa LRF umenisaidia sana. Juu tangu kuzaliwa kwangu sikuwa nishasimama kwa koti, lakini sasa naweza simama na niweze kushinda kesi, niweze kuuliza maswali ambayo yanastahili. Wamenisaidia sana juu ile uoga mtu anakuanga nao simama mbele ya koti sina, najua jinsi ya kuuliza maswali na kuweza kusaidika.
The communities are very appreciative of the work that LRF has done. One major achievement of LRF is that it has managed to conduct numerous legal aid training sessions for the community and has empowered many paralegal officers in the marginalized communities. The executive director gives her thoughts and vision of the foundation.
Our vision as a Legal Resources Foundation is to have a just and equitable society. And our key focus is really to work with the poor, the vulnerable, and the marginalized. More importantly for us is to ensure that our programs are participatory, and also we build strategic mutual partnerships with all our stakeholders.
I would like to appeal to our partners. LRF is of age. We have established programs over the years which are good programs. Looking at especially the paralegal program, it has become very, very important even to the nation, to the government, and is something that really needs to be sustained over time and replicated. And also on this front of having our own place, not for the sake of having a home, it's something that will help us in that training that I talked about earlier. As part of sustainability, we want to call it Haki Institute. So for training purposes, if we have our own place, then we are able to raise that additional funds through that training. But doing it on our own premises would be cheaper than going to hire out places. And that's why we would want to especially appeal to our partners at this particular time to help us deal with that particular area. And we believe if we get support from our development partners, we should be able to move this particular area successfully.
For LRF, some of the things that we appeal is really one, developing a clear and direct partnership with us, where LRF adds value to you as a partner and you add value to LRF as a partner. Two, a partnership that you can contribute your technical support. For example, if you're in the academia, or if you are a research institution, or if you are even as a state agent. And finally, the other way that you as partners can also contribute is resources, both financial and non-financial.
Social justice is the epitome of every developing nation where the dignity of all is promoted and protected by the state. The role that Legal Resources Foundation plays in promoting this cannot be overemphasized nor downplayed. It is imperative that Legal Resources Foundation gets adequate resources to ensure that the sustenance of its programs through core funding and mutual partnership initiatives that support the full implementation of the Strategic Plan 2009-2013. To think otherwise is to lose hope in humanity and postpone the basic right of access to justice for the poor and marginalized. The resultant negative effects of this blow are too hard to fathom. Remember, if the price of liberty is eternal vigilance, then the price of justice is confirmed legal literacy. Haki itawale.